Hello, RailCats fans, and welcome back to another edition of the RailCats Talk podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Savetic, and I know it's been a little bit of a minute. I think the last podcast went over basically was talking about the series win over Lake Country, and then I've kind of missed the Kane County series and this series just being at home and going to majority of the games. It's kind of hard to get those going. I've been trying to get the highlight films out as well. I was going to do a podcast earlier today, but when I got home, the internet was out. So, yeah, there's that. Today's game, I'm really going to kind of cover today's game majority because there's a lot of things that I want to maybe discuss necessarily in this game that was a very good game. I think this is probably one of the better games that was intense to watch. I mean, this was the only game this year that is, or I should take that back. The King County win, um, the last game they played against King County on that Sunday was a 2-3 win, but this was a flip flop of a 3-2 loss. Um, you know, looking back, I mean, right now we're in the heart of the East. I would say these two series against King County and Milwaukee are very good series. Milwaukee one is just kind of heating up. You had the benches clearing. I think it was I think it was a King County game that there was I forget what game it was that one. But I think this, even today between Diaz and well, I can't say Rosario, after Diaz got hit the second time, the couple words were being said and this and that. I thought maybe the wheels on the bus were going to fall off for the Milkman with Rosario, and I thought the RailCats were going to take over, but Rosario collected himself and composed himself and helped out with that aspect of it. I mean, as far as before this, the Gary South Shore was the third team in the American Association to reach the 10-win mark. They're 10-8 now. Believe now they are tied with Cleburne again, which that series is coming up, and I can't wait for that series to come up. It's gonna be a good one. But I mean, if it's a little rough patch right now, that's fine. It is what it is. I mean, it's a testament to the team and the schedule that they're facing right now. This is really okay. Kansas City. I guess if we're gonna kind of look at the standings real quick. Kansas City's 9-8, Winnipeg's 8-9. Maybe those two kind of got off to a colder start. The RailCats came off to a hotter start, but I mean, King County was kind of struggling a little bit, but it's King County. I don't count them out. They were a playoff team last year. We're only 18 games into this, into the season, almost 20%. It's kind of crazy to think already. You're already 20% into the season. But I think the first series round, that's fine. The second series is kind of what we're gonna get a taste of what's actually gonna happen, as far as when we go on here. But like I said, just kind of going on this game, I really want to talk because there's just some interesting things that happen. Harrison Francis kind of struggles. I think the beginning it was raining, so it's always kind of hard to be the first pitcher during a rainy-ish game. He gives up the basically. Don't mind me and my paperwork. I there was an issue with my internet at the beginning, or my internet issues, or American Association. I missed what happened with Torres. I know I got out, but Pruitt walked. Morales got hit by a pitch, and then Ward hit a double that brought in. That I think it brought in both or one. This is not going to give me. Normally it gives me the breakdown of what happened per inning. Maybe they just don't have that one ready. But they got two in the first, and then Harrison Francis kind of caught his foot, but then Williams hit a home run there in the fourth, and then in the fifth, Harrison Francis was on the mound warming up, and then Lamar Rogers pulled him. It could be an injury issue. It's all speculation to that standpoint, but I'm not saying I don't think Harrison Francis was pitching a terrible game to the point to where Lamar Rogers had to take him out. But that's the first thing I want to bring up is the rotation here. Okay, so what I'm not understanding is in the first game of the doubleheader that happened on Monday. You go with Edward Cuello, and he pitched very well. And then in the second, you went, I believe. Hold on, let me get it. I'm just pulling it up. You started with Valdez, and I think Valdez pitched very well. He pitched 2 innings, and then you put Adi Nunez in, and the wheels on the bus kind of fell off from there, and the offense wasn't helping anything at that point. I just don't know why you wouldn't have gone with Harrison Francis in the first place. Now, it could have been an injury issue, give him that extra day, but I just don't know why you necessarily would burn the bullpen on that back-to-back, doubleheader. I don't know why you wouldn't use a bullpen day on the back-to-back portion of it, because now I could understand, like, if they played on Tuesday, okay, I get it, because the pitchers necessarily wouldn't have that extra day, so you want to but you're already getting that day, so the pitchers would already have their rest. So that kind of was like, why did you do that? And I'm not saying that Harrison Francis has been very good for the RailCats. I mean, other than today, but I mean, I don't know if that was weather conditions. Like I said, he honed it back in. Yeah, he gave up 3 hits, 3 runs, had 1 walk, but had 5 strikeouts. For pitching 4 innings, that's not terrible. I mean, that's kind of to be expected. He's going to give up about 3 runs, 3 or 4 runs, give or take, just kind of depending on the day. And I think just beginning of the game was a little bit rainy, and the ball was a little slippery, so I don't think he had full control. Then it kind of dried out, and I think it kind of fell back into place a little bit. I just don't know why you wouldn't have started Harrison Francis on the second game of the doubleheader. Then in today's, I get that it's a shorter game. It's only 7 innings. It's just kind of confusing to me. If you were gonna if you would have won both doubleheaders, maybe one today, okay, maybe use a bullpen day for the next game. However the case you want to do it, it's just kind of confusing that he's relying on the bullpen. Yeah, the bullpen has been decent, but some of the people that you're continuously using is starting to come into question a little bit. I think Valdez has found himself. I think he's put himself in a good situation, and I think he's becoming reliable. Nunez, I don't think so much. On the flip side of that, Rayson Santos got released today, and looking at, I believe, his last game, when was it? No, why are you doing that to me? Let's see, I thought it was against the last game in King County, I believe. I think it was the 12-5 game. Where he gave up 1 hit, 3 runs, both earned, was that the Grand Slam that happened? I believe so. I know, we had, you're gonna have to make room back for when John Sheeks comes back. I know he's on the disabled list right now, so I don't know if John Sheeks is potentially coming back and he's the odd man out. I don't know. Like I said, I don't think Rayson Santos has really pitched that well this year for the RailCats. he's played in 5 games. He's only pitched in four innings. Um, that's not really the kind of thing that, you're just not starting off very well. Giving up 3 hits, giving up the run. I mean, your ERA is 11.25, and pitching in 5 games and only pitching 4 innings. The last inning that you had, I think it was that grand slam, which we'll talk about the grand slam real quick. That foul ball, I caught it. Okay, I have the foul ball right here. This foul ball right here, one right before the home run. Okay, in my defense, if you go back and you rewatch it, and I think it's the 302 mark of that game, I'm sitting there just chilling my mind. I'm just chilling. My wife gets up, she moves to the left. All right, I'm sitting there with the book in my hand. And I look up. I said, "Oh, that's going to the berm," and they kept coming back. And it came down, and I caught the ball on the back, back half like this, and I caught the ball. And Tapia, when you watch it, he doesn't really make an attempt for it. He thought it was over, and then he acted like he was gonna grab it, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I could have caught it," and walked away. So before on the next Bartman, right? That one wasn't on me. All right, I didn't try for it. I just caught it because I was trying to save my life. All right, it's beside the point. I know I'm kind of getting a little sidetracked. They got a lot to talk about, to a certain extent. So I think using Harrison Francis today, okay, I mean, I understand it, but I'm still kind of confused. But I mean, obviously, with John Sheik's down, you're maybe going to have to use a bullpen day anyways, so that's where you're going to put your bullpen. But I would rather use the bullpen day right before your ace is supposed to come up, or whatever the case may be. So I'm not I don't know, his decision making on it. It just kind of seemed a little odd. That would have been, those 2 days would have been a perfect day to kind of really rest your bullpen. Have your starters go about 5 innings. You only have 2 innings left of the game. You can burn 2 people. I think that would, if they did, it's not like those double headers were atrocious. I mean, it was 7-4 and then 4-1. So it's not like it was terrible. In the first one, I mean, like I said, Valdez pitched very well. It was Nunez that came in, but even that's King County. But even for Cuello, I mean, he only went 4 innings, gave up 7 hits. So I mean, that could have been a little bit of it as well, is that he only went 4 innings and he gave up 4 runs. I'm not sure why he's at the top of the rotation right now. To a certain extent, I get it. I just still think Chris Irwin should be at the top of the rotation. That's what we're planning on setting up here is a flip of the rotation somewhere. But I would imagine that's going to come around All-Star break, when that's going to happen. Cuello really hasn't. Maybe a handful. When we look here, really, the Milwaukee ones where he's given up the most, 4 runs. Last outing before that he pitched 6 innings. He looked great. I think it's just one of those consistency things. I mean, he's only giving us 4 to 5 innings. We need to see more out of it. I think Lamar Rogers depends too much on the bullpen, and you're going to burn through the bullpen arms that are going to be reliable for you. Your DJ Wilkinsons, your Jared Price is doing very well. Ben Miller was outstanding tonight. Joan Valdez is pitched very well. He's starting to kind of fall back into a rhythm of his own where, he's going to be successful. Matt Leon is, he's not going to be used as much because I think he's the closing role, and we really haven't had those opportunities to close out a game necessarily. But he's pitched very well. So you just have a handful here and there that just not doing so hot. I just don't know why you necessarily want to try to burn your bullpen. I get it's still early in the season, and you're gonna try to coast your pitchers into that. But we're getting into our fourth go around. Like I need to see more. I want to see more. I should say. I'm not the coach. I can't make the decisions, but I want to see more. I want to see a 6, 7, you know, inning game from a pitcher. If it's a struggle game, that at least going 5. You know what I'm saying? Um, the other thing is that when we look back at the game, when you look back now, I'm always that one person that goes, you can't dawn on one play of a game, right? You can't dawn on the one decision, one bad decision made by a player or whatever the case may be. But love and Gio Diaz, and I want to get to him real quick. Now we all kind of think that there's something wrong with Woodworth. I went to the first game of the doubleheader, and Diaz, the game before, played shortstop with Lingua. Wasn't able to watch. I was at work, but I think he played a very good defensively game. Just by listening to what I heard on the radio. Playing second, I was like, oh, maybe they're just giving a Woodworth a day off. Just it's doubleheader. He's been playing a lot of games, so on and so forth. So I thought maybe he was just getting the. And I'm not gonna tell fans how to be fans, because this is fans want to be fans. I get it, but sometimes the issue with the American Association is that fans get attached to certain players, and then they don't understand when something happens. There's no news about it. Like, there's nothing really, hardly anything about it. Like, Racing Santos got released today. The RailCats didn't mention anything. It's just on, if you're not avidly looking at the American Association, you're not going to know that, And obviously, none of us really knew what was going on unless you have ties in with the players. You kind of know what happens. But the fans that were sitting next to me, there was a couple times, I think, Gio made 2 really rough throws, and one caught, one went against him. He just kind of looked like he's just doing too much. He wants to prove himself, and I think he has proven that he can play, or he can get on base at least. I mean, he got hit by 2 pitches today. Like, the guy's a ball magnet, and he leads the league in stealing. And I think he's starting to gain that confidence. I think the league is starting to realize that, and I think there was 2 times where they kind of did like a modified pitch out, and he still stole second. But I'm gonna get to the point to what happened with the pickoff in the first. But then Gio tried to make a diving play, and it was maybe 3 or 4 inches from his glove. And the fans next to us are like, "Oh, Woody would have made that play." Now, he might have, because he's taller. But the issue is that sometimes you don't get fans that like, they'll go to the games, they'll watch the games, but they don't understand the game. What I mean by that, there was a situation where Tapia had the ball hit to him, and he watched the runner back, right? And he went to go step for first, and the runner went home, and they threw the ball home, and he got the runner out at home. And they're like, well, why don't you just step on first base? Like, it's certain things like that sometimes I'm not. My wife had to calm me down, because it's just one of those, like, I get it. You're a fan, you want to be a fan. But sometimes you got to understand the situation that goes on being a fan. Now, everyone's going to have their favorites. Everyone's going to be attached to a certain player. They want to see that. You go to the ball game, you want to see that player play. And sometimes in baseball, that just doesn't happen, because your favorite player may just be on a rest day or may be injured. Whatever the case may be. But I'm just saying, I think, it's just one of those things that not everyone. I got tickets to the RailCats game. I'm going to the game. Oh, I really like that player, and if that player's not playing, everyone else in the team sucks. Like, that's just what I kind of feel like. And I think that true fans of the American Association don't want any of the players to necessarily fail, if that makes sense. We may have the players that we kind of, root for. I know I'm talking about Gio Diaz a lot, and I like his game. I think I relate. My game when I played was a lot like his. I wasn't very big. I didn't have a lot of power, but I got on base, and I was pretty good in the field. Now, obviously, he's playing professional baseball, and I'm not. But that's why I think it's just a kind of a draw to that aspect. Woodworth is hands down one of, or not the best player on the RailCats team. Like defensively, offensively, you got a lot of things to do there. But I think Gio is trying to take his opportunity, and it's hard to keep him out of the lineup, is what I'm trying to get at. If he's gonna get on base, let's see here. Looking at his, let's look at his stats real quick. Extended batting stats here. He leads the team with on base percentage of 452, and right now his average is up to 283. And he leads the league in stealing. Like he's just gonna go. But what I'm getting to is that he gets picked off, and I think in that situation, with it being just one out and just the beginning of the game, like I get you're trying to make something happen. You have Del Valle and Castillo that can probably drive you in, and they would have if you just would have not extended that one extra step and leaned that one extra way. It happens. But what I'm trying to get at is when you look at the end of the game, or you look at the game now, if you say Del Valle and Castillo struck out or just got out, rounded out, whatever, this wouldn't be an issue. But Del Valle walks and Castillo hits a single. Diaz would have easily scored, and at the end of the game, we would have been tied. Not saying that would have happened. Not saying when you got later in the game that Mariaga wouldn't have drove in Nova, and that Diaz wouldn't have advanced on a wild pitch and stole a base, or not got hit by a pitch, then stole a base, and then there was that balk that got him to third, and then Nova drove him in. Not saying that's what was going to happen, but it's just one of those things when you kind of look back and okay, maybe in that situation you just pump the brakes. No, I think it was later on. I think if this was in the ninth inning, I think he would have tried to make something happen, but I think he would know the sense that, okay, maybe they tried once, they almost got me. I should kind of wing that back a little bit, and if I get the 2 disengagements, then maybe I push my luck, because if I do get back safely, I get third anyway. So like that kind of plays into a little bit. But the end of the game, all right. So the game was getting very intense, and I love these games. The pitchers duel, Ben Miller came in, lights out. Jared Price came in, lights out. DJ Wilkinson comes in, lights out. Like Ben Miller pitched 3 innings, had 3 strikeouts, gave up 1 hit on a hit that like went into like no man, not necessarily no man's land, but it was like hit perfectly. And Diaz playing second, it's hard for him to get over to cover. That's why typically the pitchers cover. But with Ben Miller being a left-hander, his finish is he's pulling off to the third base side, so he has to spin around and try to get to first. And Ben Miller doesn't look like the fastest guy in the world, and he also has that sidearm, so it's just kind of one of that just kind of brings him that way. So it's kind of hard to get to first. Tapia had to play it on the bounce, and that's just sometimes how the cookie crumbles. But Jared Price gave up 2 walks, but he shut it down real quick. DJ Wilkinson. That was, talking about that. Let's just talk about it, because that was on the 8th inning, and so Torres grounds out, Pruitt walks, then he steals a base. He gets the third. Morales pops out. Ward's in a 3-1, 3-0 count. Lamar Rogers says, "I just go and walk him." And then Gomez hits a ball that, it got hit. I'm like, if Tapia doesn't make this play, I don't think anyone's gonna make this play. And sure as crap, here comes Diaz sliding across the outfield grass, grabs the ball and throws him out by like a centimeter. A great play. I mean, he has speed. It was a great, awesome play, and I think he's starting to become comfortable in the situation of playing the field. So, like I said, I would it's hard. I think it would be hard to take him out of the lineup. And if there's anyone that disagrees with me, by all means, comment down below. I want to hear other people's arguments on this one. But I think it's hard to keep him out of the lineup. I just simply think that Gio Diaz needs to be in the lineup every night, and a utility player that can play everywhere. I want to see him play at third. I just want to see him play at third to see if what he can do over there. If when Woodward comes back, I mean, you have Victor Nova, or it's the lineup is so difficult to like. But this guy can play anywhere. Like, he can just give people rest. Like, he can play all the outfield games in a row, still play in the lineup and give people rest. Or you could play all 4 or 3 positions besides maybe first base in the infield and give people rest. Like, that's how you kind of keep him in the lineup a little bit. You just kind of be strategic about it. But enough of him. But I'm just saying that was a big table turner, because that goes into the 8th inning here, where Diaz gets hit and Rosario. I don't know if Diaz says something to him or Rosario says something to him. They started kind of coming together, and warnings were issued. Things kind of settled down. But then Del Valle pops out. Castillo strikes out, and like, man, it's gonna suck. Like, dang, we thought maybe we had something going. The wheels on the bus were about to fall off, where the case may be. And then Nova, on a full count, gets a nice base hit. Diaz comes in and scores. I mean, Diaz also, he stole second, and then that balk happened. Then later on, Nova hits the single. We're down 3-2, and you're like, all right, here we go. Something's good gonna happen. And this is where, in the bottom of top of the 9th, 1-2-3 inning, DJ Wilkinson, stellar at .93 ERA right now. Even Jared Price is at a 0. Ben Miller's, you look at his, he has 7.72, and I think he kind of had a rough game the game before, whatever the case may be. But you look at like, I'll take it. Like, we'll take it. But anyways, so you got Mariaga. He grounds out the pitcher, and that was just it would have been a single if it didn't hit the pitcher. Like, it was going right back at the middle. That's a tough break, right? And then you're looking, okay, all right, so it's going down to Paulino and Hernandez. Paulino, to this point, went 0 for 3 with a strikeout, or 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts. And I'm thinking, okay, and you have a right-hander on the mound. I'm thinking, okay. Now, it could have been a strategy, kind of issue. Like, all right, well, there's only one out. Paulino has some power, but you have Sam Abbott. If it's a right-handed pitcher up there, Sam Abbott's pitching, or, designated hitter, so you don't have to take anyone off the field, right? Okay, it doesn't happen. Paulino walks. Good. He walks. Now I'm thinking, all right, you still have Thomas Greeley. So worst case scenario is if you pull out Hernandez, and he made contact every time he came up to the bat, but I'm just saying, if you're just looking to end the game, that Sam Abbott's sitting on the bench, and I don't know what I'm not saying, I think Tapia has played very well defensively at first. I think just him being a throwing left-hander, throwing left, having his mitt in the right hand, he can get a lot of balls that go through the middle there. I don't know if there's a disconnect with Lamar Rogers and Sam Abbott, what's going on, but I'm just surprised he's not in more often. When you look at what Tapia did today, he walked and he struck out twice and he flew out. You get the same thing from Sam Abbott. I don't know what the scenario is or what's going on. If it's just I don't know what's going on there. That's something maybe I'll try to investigate. Like, hey, what's going on? Here and there, blah blah, whatever the case may be. Just kind of hard when you're sitting on the first base side. But that's beside the point. But I was just thinking, maybe you put him in and see, because what's worst case scenario? You strike out. If he falls in that 60%, he strikes out, Lingual comes up and he might be able to tie the game up, or Sam Abbott may be that 20% where he's going to hit a home run, the game's over. Like, best you got. I mean, Hernandez has been good, but he's batting at 200. And he went 0 for 4. It's just, in that situation, I would like to see something switch up. Just, you have to pull confidence on people. It's not so much that you lost confidence, Paulino or Hernandez. It's just that, hey, this game you're just not seeing the ball very well, or whatever the case may be. I just gonna throw Sam Abbott in there to see what happens. But that's not what we got, and that's just what happened. I think it's just one of those cases that things just didn't go the Railcats' way. They out hit the Milkmen 5-4. Like that's how tight this game was. It was 5-4. Like a couple mistakes here and there, and it just squander opportunities, and that's what happens. The perfect example is in the ninth. Or the ninth. The first is a perfect example. Yeah, if Diaz didn't get out and Nova, it just there's a lot that goes into that. That if Diaz didn't get out, that you squandered that opportunity there. Like I said, there really wasn't a lot of like threatening per se. Really, the first you kind of look back at the first, like, dang it, if you didn't get picked off, it'd be a different story, and we might have walked away with the win. Like I said, it's still early in the season. There's not too much fuss about it. Go for the series tie tomorrow. You walk away with the series tie, and then that's fine. You're playing a 4-game series, and you win 2 out of 4, and you kind of live to fight another day, and life goes on. Because then you're gonna end up coming here and going to Sioux Falls, who really hasn't. Let's see, where are they at? I don't want the East. I want the West. Sioux Falls is 7-10. I mean, they're on a 1-game winning streak kind of deal, but they're kind of starting at slow gate. This is an opportunity to get yourselves a couple wins before Cleveland comes to town. You know what I'm saying? And Cleveland comes to town, and then the Sioux City Explorers come, or then you go to Mercy One Field to Sioux City, where it's very hard for visiting teams to win in general. It's not going to get any easier. And I think that was the first half of this, the first 20% of the season was the easier part of the season so far, and it's just, like I said, it's just going to get harder from there. Yeah, you'll see Lake Country again, King County, but you see Milwaukee, it's not going to get any easier, and especially with the East, it's not going to get any sort of easier. So you gotta take the opportunities when you can get it. It's still gonna be a fun season. It's sucks, but life goes on. I'm having fun. My wife's getting her deal out of it as well. We go shopping for the game, and so on and so forth. I'm ready. I'm gonna try and make every Cleburne game because I really want to go to that series because it's gonna be a fun series. It's just, I think the fans are gonna be involved in it. Players are gonna get involved in it. It's just gonna be a good time. This is gonna be a good season. I wonder if any changes are going to come. I think affiliate ball's starting to release some players, so I don't know what's going to roll around, but we can just right now look at batting averages. Castillo right now is batting at 351. Woodworth and Diaz are top. Those are the top 3. Del Valle. So that's the big thing, is the home runs aren't there, which isn't a bad thing. They're winning games, just the home runs really haven't been there. Del Valle with 3 home runs, RBIs. Castillo has 16, Del Valle at 12, Mariaga 10, Nova has 10. Vivas, Francis, and Irwin all have 2 wins. Harrison Francis with 21 strikeouts. Matt Leon has no ERA. Qualifying, doesn't have an ERA. Let's see. Let's just look at league leaders here. Looking at batting average, Josh Altman 425 or 424. Most runs scored, Alexander from Cleburne, Hill Alexander from Cleburne. Let's see here. Most runs, most hits in the league, Josh Altman at 28, and LG Castillo at 27. He's up there with them. Castillo is what, 1, 2, 3, 4th. so top 5. Doubles, Mark Carvish, just I can't say his name. That's just gonna elude me. He has 6 doubles. Morales from Milwaukee has 6 doubles. Castillo is up with 3. Triples, DeShields, Altman, Heath, and Woodworth. They're all tied at 2 there. Home runs right now is Josh Altman. He's playing out of his mind for Chicago. Chicago they're catching fire and they're gonna be deadly. RBI is Josh Altman. Castillo's up there in the top 10. Most walks, Heath, Metzer, Sermo, Zach Nayar, Narrier. There we go. It just eluded me for a second. Narrier. It just sometimes when I hear it and I see it, hit by pitches. Diaz is tied with Balago from Milwaukee at 7. This way, he just keeps getting hit. That's all he does. Just gets hit. Most stolen bases, Gio Diaz at 13. It's just, how can you not keep? He's gonna give you. You got caught stealing once. I'm thinking that's what they classify as the pickoff. You got caught stealing the pickoff, whatever the case may be. Just looking at on base percentage, Josh Altman is a 506. That is out of his mind. Diaz is top 10 in that situation. Altman's just leading the league in everything. It's just unreal what he's been able to do. Let's just look at pitching. I just kind of want to see who has the most strikeouts so far. Young from Milwaukee. Harrison Francis is top 5 in that portion of it. Who is that's I can't really base off of that. Sorry, a little bit tired. Looking at some of the ERAs that I would classify anyone that's pitched over 10 innings. Let's see here if I can sort it out real quick here. So pitched over 10 innings. I'm gonna go with Lane, Trevor Lane from the Dogs has a .6 ERA. So yeah, the Harrison Francis is the only one that's qualified for Gary at a 393. But just looking here for the RailCats, look at the pitching here real quick. Leaders, stats, pitching. Price has yet to give up a run. Matt Leon has yet to give up a run. He's actually played in 7. He's pitched 7 innings. He's done very well. Only giving up 7 walks, having 11 strikeouts. DJ Wilkinson, I think, has pitched very well as well. So I think the pitching's, really, okay, Rayson Santos, he's gone. I think Ben Miller really had that one really blown out game against King County where he gave up 6 runs. But if you look at that, right, he gives 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games where he didn't give up a single run out of 6 games. The one other game he gave up 2 runs. Looking at Adi Nunez, he's averaging 4 runs, 2, 0, 2. So Nunez has technically a better ERA, but sometimes when you're a relief pitcher, you have that one bad outing and the numbers get inflated. So that's why sometimes you have to look into the games and really understand. So, I think that's gonna wrap it up. I really need to wrap this up so I get it edited and get out so I can go to bed. But yeah, Maybe I'm not sure when the next podcast will be. I'm still trying to get the highlight videos out. I'm trying to like mix between the both. I'm not sure how I'm gonna do it. It's just sometimes it just takes me an hour and a half, 2 hours to do the highlight videos. So yeah, they're 5 minutes long. It takes me 2 hours to do it. So I'm working on it. I'll probably one day I'll just put a bunch of them out. Whatever the case may be, when I get to them, I get to them. Between work and going to the games and doing yard work and stuff like that, sometimes it kind of gets put on the back burner. But anyways, that's going to wrap it up for me. I'm your host, Kyle Savetic. Be sure to follow the podcast at RailCats Talk on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, YouTube, all that good stuff. Comment down below. Anything you want to talk about, I'm game for it. Discussions about anything, I'm game for it. I'm glad you stuck around this long. Thank you for being loyal. And sticking around for my rambling for 40 minutes. But I want you to enjoy the rest of your day, rest of your evening, whenever you're watching this, and go Cats.
The 0-2. Swing and a miss, strike three. Wrap this one up in green